excited.
It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
All right, it's 12:01, and ladies and gentlemen, we got a game day. Game 5, the series square at 2 games apiece, which means game 5 tonight, relatively important. As always, Two Guys and Goalie presented to you by the Sandman and crew over at GS Construction, setting the industry standard for 50 years with quality, efficiency, and safety driving their success. GS Construction has a foundation built on teamwork, and now they want you to become a part of the team. Visit www.gsconstruction.ca and click Ready to Work, or visit their page at Indeed.ca. And when the Next Up Person program, GS Construction, it's not just a job, it is a career. Cass, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Tommy was bringing on Clausen on Friday night, your guess was that it was actually going to be Sandwith, who was making a surprise appearance at the Ice House, which when you guessed that, I was watching at home, I thought, great guess, Cass. Like, I thought for sure you nailed it.
Yeah, I thought it was legitimate. And on top of that, I was like, oh, he's probably in town for, you have the NHL alumni Alzheimer's tournament last weekend. So I'm like, oh, he's probably in town for that. They're probably at the Ice House, and that makes sense that Sandy's there. So I never in a million, well, I shouldn't say in a million years. I probably would have got it if I had a million years. But I definitely did not think it was Clausen, and boy, was that a beautiful surprise.
Oh man, what were you thinking when he hopped on? I was like,
dying.
Had a couple of tequilas.
I was dying. I had to put and I didn't want to have him hear me laughing because it's like I didn't want to break the spell of the moment. So it's like I had to mute myself and was just dying. And I'm like, I hope he can't see me because my hands are on my face.
Yeah, you were just like this. We could all see you, Cass.
I couldn't. Yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. It was good. Just made a good night better. Yeah.
Well, you guys have both been parts of major musical performances in round 1 so far. Cass had a chance to be there for Sloshed Clausen on Friday night. And Gager, you sat in that very chair yesterday, the happiest I've ever seen you in your entire life, listening to Hernan sing La Bamba.
It was amazing. I was worried at first because he gets worried, and he was all fidgety, and he did some vocal warm-ups, I think, in a break. And,
did he really?
I think so.
So he's a pro. Sounded like a pro.
It sounded great. And it was one of those things where it just catches you off guard, right? There's a scene in High Fidelity. It's an old movie with John Cusack and Jack Black, and they work in a record store.
I've never seen that one.
It's a really good movie. It's actually really good. If you got time, throw that on.
Young Jack Black. I got some time for that.
But at the end, he goes and sings because he's supposed to be this.
Jack Black does?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd never heard Jack Black sing. I didn't even know who he was, really. I remembered him from an X-Files episode, I think, at that point. But he can, well, obviously we know how well Jack Black can actually sing, and it just it was the same kind of feeling. I was taken aback. Great job by the one and only.
I think Hernan's still kicking around over there. Hernan, your life changed much since you debuted La Bamba yesterday?
Yeah, a bit.
I knew it.
The Oilers have contacted me to sing Game 6. No, I kid. You know what's crazy? When I was in radio and television, we had an assignment where we had to produce and record our own song.
Okay.
And then the example the prof used was Lieutenant Eric.
No.
And he was and this is before I knew him. He was fantastic.
What song did he do?
He did like his own, and he had
What?
and it was just
an original.
Yeah, and it was just like a guitar, and
No. Eric was playing the guitar?
I don't know if he was playing the guitar, but it was just like, an acoustic version of something. And then he goes, does anyone know who that is? And we're all like, no. He's like, Lieutenant Eric from 1260. I was like, holy smokes, the pipes. Like, he can sing.
Oh, he can sing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, 12 Days of Christmas. and he did the national anthem and the United Cup back in the day.
He did.
Okay, but
I didn't know he could play guitar though.
Oh yeah, like he could have a
What?
record deal. Yeah.
What? I've been sitting here paying these guys all this money to produce these songs, and Eric's sitting next to me with the ability to play guitar and sing. What the hell?
It's a musical family when you really think about it.
Well, yeah.
though.
I mean, how could his brother be that talented musically
Yeah.
and not Eric?
Yeah,
I guess I
exactly.
should have. Mind you, with that being said, both my sisters sing extremely well and can play the piano. I can't.
Did you take piano lessons?
No. Surprise, surprise. I did not take.
But
take
you're a good
piano
dancer.
lessons.
Though.
I do like to dance.
Yeah,
I do like to dance. I can shake my booty just a little bit. All right. 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999. That is where you can text us here on Two Guys and Goalie, brought to you by GS Construction. If you missed it earlier this morning, we did announce a new deal with Edmonton Sports Talk that will officially begin the next time. I guess we do Two Guys on Thursday. Edmonton Sports Talk moving forward, starting May 1st on a long-term deal, will be presented by Play Alberta. So it's Edmonton Sports Talk presented by Play Alberta. Got the swag dropped off today. We talked about it a little bit on the Hangout. You got your hoodie, Gager?
Got it.
Good. These are nice hoodies. They're
look
like
really
light
good.
enough, but they're comfy. The hood, Guga was talking about the hood. It's like a nice light hood.
Yeah.
So anyway, this was really the only reason I wanted to get the deal done
That's the hoodies.
was for the hoodies. We're going back and forth on numbers and stuff, and they're like, and we'll throw in hoodies for the staff. I was like, you, sir, have a deal. And then I was like, God, I hope these hoodies are terrific. And they are. So yeah, starting on May 1st, Edmonton Sports Talk presented by Play Alberta. Pretty exciting times for us. I'd like to personally thank both of you guys for being a big part of everything that we've been doing. Two Guys and a Goalie, of course, started before 1260 got blown out. And to be like, just to behind the scenes a bit, with the whole, I remember when we were doing Two Guys, my boss was like, look, we don't really like you doing other shows that like compete with stuff we're doing. And I was just like, well, I mean, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Like, and then I remember him saying at the time, he goes, I said, well, why don't you guys sell a bit on the podcast or something? And he goes, no, we just don't see money in podcasts. And I was just like, you're lost, dude. They failed miserably. But yeah, Cass, big news today, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's beautiful news. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty exciting. How's the hoodie look, do you think, from afar?
It looks, you know what? It's a brilliant shade of black. I feel like they used the good dye on that.
Yeah. It's not like crazy black, but it's like black. It's black enough, right? Like,
I like the sponsorships on this. On
got the
arms,
Adidas
too.
on one side.
Yeah.
And I think this is the only time the others will ever allow us to have their logo anywhere near anything we do.
Yeah.
But it's right here because
Yeah.
Play Alberta is one of our partners now
There you
too.
go.
So
That's good. That's
Yeah.
really good.
yeah, pretty exciting.
I'll have to wrestle this from family members when it gets home.
Well, we'll eventually get more merch too.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get more merch. They're going to work on some other stuff for us too. So, yeah, but that's exciting news. Just passing along on all the shows today. And hey, we've got you covered. You don't have to go anywhere. We will dive in. We got line combinations. Knobloch looks to appear to be threatening to play Nurse and Bouchard together again. So we'll get into that a little bit. EST afternoons coming up from 1 till 3 with Hernan and Gager. Remember, if the others win tonight, Hernan will sing La Bamba on the show tomorrow. And then that'll go lead in to the Reed Wilkins show from 3 until 6:30. GCL Diesel pregame show from 6:30 until 8. And that will be live from Hudson's on White tonight with Tom Gazzola. If you want to swing on by Hudson's on White, I think Tommy's got a table for 10 set aside for all the nasties. So make sure you get there early. Grab yourself a spot at that table. It should be a pretty good time. And then Tommy obviously will be breaking things down post-game as well. We have not discussed things. The three of us haven't been able to catch up since they've evened this series at 2. We were asked this morning, I think during 3 questions too many. Cass, we'll start with you on this one. Who or what, from a Los Angeles Kings angle, should be taking the most blame for a 2-0 series lead becoming a 2-2 series lead? Or a series, not even a lead, a 2-2 series.
Funny enough, it's the same reason that I'm going to blame Edmonton for being down 2-0 at the start of the series.
You're going coaching, are you?
I'm going coaching.
Yeah.
And I think it's a absolute reasonable thing to pin it on, because there's pivotal moments. For Edmonton, game 1, you tie it, you have all the momentum. I was expecting Edmonton to carry that into overtime, like we saw them carry game 4 into overtime with a big push, because that's the energy and the momentum was there. And then you have a coaching decision to keep guys on the ice that were exhausted, and you get scored on, you lose the game. Now, game 3, you challenge for goalie interference when you shouldn't have challenged for goalie interference at a horrible time. I mean, you were in a prime position to be up 3 games in the series, and you challenge when you shouldn't have challenged, and Edmonton turns it around quickly and ends up winning and beating you. Now, who knows, if they don't challenge, they might not still win that game, but I think just the environment of that is a little bit different coming out of that. And I think then you just carry that forward into game 4. And I don't think you can pin game 4, the loss, on Hiller, but I think overall, like that pivotal moment in game 3 is what changed the tone of this series for the Edmonton Oilers. And to me, that's it. So yeah, I gotta pick coaching here.
Gage, what about that challenge? Like from a goalie's point of view, when you were watching, we got to watch it a bunch of times because they were looking at whether it was kicked in or not. When you were watching them review it for kicking it for a possible kick, did you think at any time, hey, they should challenge this for goaltender interference?
This is the Kane goal?
The Kane goal in game 3, the big challenge.
Well, at first glance, I go, ooh, that's going to be tight. But the way he kicked the puck and the way his stick followed through, you could tell that the puck completely changed direction because it actually goes under Kemper's leg. Right? You lose sight of it.
You could tell he picked up momentum too after he.
So,
but did you think at any point you saw goaltender interference and they're worth challenging?
No, a lot because of the move that Kemper does to go to the other side of the net. If he doesn't just try to lay down and tries to like move across like you see most goalies, like they'll load up on the left side and push across instead of just trying to fall back and reach. Maybe then, because Kane's skates were close to Kemper's at that point, and maybe he gets a call there. But because of the move that Kemper made just to fall back, I thought, no, there's no goaltender interference. There's a little bit on the leg, a little where Kane's skate was, but it's not really impeding Kemper's ability to stop the puck because he's laid out that way anyways, right? So it was a gamble, I think, that maybe it's 50-50 and we get this going, but yeah, I'm trying to find other things that might be the reason that that add to the reason that the Oilers tied this series up. But yeah, I got to say, Cass was the first guy to mention it. It was that first post game when I realized you were going to talk about the coaching. And it's weird to say it, but coaching has been one of the main points of why things have happened in this series so far.
Cass, where do you think that challenge comes out of? Like if there's nothing clear there, it's a 4-4 game. You've basically been in control of the series the entire time. Was it an egotistical chat? Like why do you think what drove that?
I don't know. And like I liked the idea of calling the timeout to buy yourself some time. Say, hey, we need to get this right. But it was like you have the timeout and you still thought that. And to me, it's like two things. Because if I was coaching in that moment, I'm thinking, okay, I take the timeout. If we don't see something we can challenge for, at the least we broke up the momentum. Right? Like we called the timeout, we broke up the momentum. We had a second to settle down, to calm down, and we should be okay. And then that's what you're telling your guys too is, hey, not enough challenge there. Don't worry about it. We just take a deep breath and move forward. And I don't know. I don't know who, ultimately it's going to be Hiller's decision that he has to pull the trigger and make it, which is where I pin it on him. But I don't know if it was video coaching. I don't know if it was assistant coaching. I don't know if he was just like, oh, let's just gamble and see what happens. Or if it's just like, just a gamble to say, not even see what happens, but if we do take this goal away, we will win this hockey game and win the series. And that to me is, if I was going to guess, that's where I think it falls. It kind of falls underneath that. He probably got, well, it could be, it couldn't be, and he said, if we get this call, we win this series. And that's similar again, and maybe that's an ego thing, but coaches in general may be an ego thing, because I think it's the same thing for Knobloch in game 1. In keeping that lineup on the ice to say, we're going to win the series in this moment. Like, this is it. Yeah. We win this game. We do this here. We win the series. And it's like you're putting your chips in the middle, right? Like it's you push them in and say, here we go. We're going to win this thing. And it didn't pan out. So yeah, ultimately it falls on the coach, regardless of who told him what. And I know he has to trust his people that are telling him things. Like, he is the one that calls the challenge. The words come out of his mouth to communicate with the official. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it's on him.
Go ahead, Gager.
You heard Lalonde talk about when he was coaching the Red Wings, his video staff, he wanted percentages. And
interesting.
You'd kind of figure that's what every coach wants, right? When they call up, okay, what's the percentage of goaltender interference here? And unless it was 100%, he said, I would not challenge. But you got to figure that the Kings, what percentage do you give this? And I can't see you going over 50.
Not on that one. No way.
So
I can't see you going over 5.
Yeah. The guy must have been like, hey, Jim, it's a long shot. And he's like, we're challenging it.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just saying it could have been lower. Like he could have said maybe there's a 30 or 20%, 5%, like you said, Kat. And then he's playing the odds and saying, well, if there's a chance, maybe we can get this call. And so I don't know if I'm the video guy, I'm dealing in absolutes. It's 3 answers. It's 50-50, 100%, or 0%. And he should have said 0% at that point.
If you have any questions, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If you're watching over on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up for us today. We greatly appreciate it. Maybe we can hit 100 likes as well over on YouTube. So please do that as well and sub to the channel if you haven't already. A bunch of other things that I want to get to. Let me just Gage, I'll throw this one at you from Coach Mike. He says, if the Oilers solved Kemper, is there any reason the Oilers scoring on Kemper won't continue, do you think?
The one thing that gives me pause is their inability to get to the front of the net for a consistent amount of time. Okay. There's only one guy that's doing it. Maybe 2.
Corey
Perry and Hyman to an extent, right?
Kane a little bit.
Yeah, you could say that too. But you need everybody there. You watch the goals that have gone in lately all across the league. There's moving screens. They're just getting into the eyes of the goaltender. And Kemper's a good goalie. When he's all the pucks that he's been able to see, he stops. So unless they figure that out and start, what do they say, like funneling the puck towards the net a little bit more and look for those second chance opportunities, you can't wait to the last 5 minutes again. That's all I'm saying. I mean, maybe you can. That's the way this series is. But I just think they need more of a net front presence in front of the offensive net and their own. They have to do a better job of closing the distance and making it a little bit more difficult for some of the Kings to get to the front of that.
Well, while we're on goalies right now, I asked you this morning. Cass, I'll throw it to you. For the rest of this series, do you think it's Pickard's net?
Probably.
Think so?
Probably.
Like it would have to go really, 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 really bad tonight to put Skinner back in when he's 0-2 facing elimination.
Yeah, I don't think it'd have to go really bad, but yeah, Pickard would have to be strongly at fault for them to put Stuart Skinner in. But Pickard hasn't been great, guys. He hasn't been. I don't think Kemper's been great either. I mean, the guys that
no goalie's been great in this series. Simple as that.
No goalie's been great in this series.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it would have to, like, you'd have to see that little chip goal, the one-hander that almost lost them the game.
Yeah.
In game 3. You'd have to see a goal like that. Like if a goal like that happened
in a loss,
and that was the difference in a loss, then I think you go to Stuart Skinner for the elimination game. But if you win in any fashion, or it's a tight game where it wasn't on the goalie, then yeah, you're probably running Pickard in the next one.
You guys don't like that goal, huh?
The flip between the hands. I mean, I just don't think a goalie should be beaten with one hand on a stick ever, really, especially right between the legs. He wasn't
good on any of those goals.
Who was that? Moore?
It was Moore.
But when you look at it, like, because he's a left-hand shot, and he's got his
You're surprising me right now.
And his right hand. But no, look. I've let in a lot of goals.
You've let in a lot of one-handers.
And you're not expecting it as a goaltender, right? And he when you see it, and I did this with my goal stick at times. When I stopped the puck behind the net, and if it was at length, I got good at kind of putting the puck on an edge, and I could roll my wrist and get the puck up on the blade because it's so long and kind of sauce it.
You
over.
were good at controlling the puck though as a goalie.
Hey,
right?
I was
Not
okay.
like- yeah.
I was okay. But that was one things that I worked on. So if a guy came in and trying to get it, I could actually put it over his stick into the corner or whatever. And you watch the puck, and it actually gets up to the middle of Moore's stick. Like he's actually able to almost like a lacrossing and flicks it. And it's perfect timing because the way he's coming across, Pickard has to move and it actually opens up. And I don't know if Moore did this on purpose.
He was fending somebody off.
But it was perfect timing because it was actually it wasn't along the ice. It was up in the air and right through the 5-hole. So, I mean, again, it's one of those things where if McDavid did it or Draisaitl did you see what he did? And it's unbelievable. I'm not saying but
those guys do unbelievable things. Like you're not expecting Trevor Moore to pull that off.
But I'm just saying it was quite impressive.
Yeah, but Gager's seen me do stuff like that in shinny. So
yeah, I see you do it all the time. You're skating with one hand on your stick half the time, though.
Yeah, if I can do it, anybody can do it. Yeah. I mean, I guess we didn't unpack that goal. I didn't love it. I didn't love his positioning on it. I thought I didn't love his positioning on it on that one. The Kempe goal in that game was horrible. Goal number 1, like he wasn't very good. And I know
weren't those two in game 3? Weren't those two off sticks though?
They look like ramps.
They look like it got ramped up in the corner. Like to me,
you have to find ways to fight through it.
Cass,
wait. It was like flat. Like
I mean, to me, I'm looking at
find
it.
A way to make a big save.
I'm looking at it from the perspective of if Skinner lets in those goals, I would have been the guy defending Skinner, being like, "Look," and I know other people would be ripping him, but it went off. They went off sticks and up over. Gager, how difficult is that when you're like bracing for like not something up top, and it gets?
So many things go through when someone's about to take a shot, and that's why the good goal scores. It's so difficult to read off it. But hand position, where the puck is on the blade, their hands are in front of them or behind them. You can kind of tell where a guy is going to whether the puck's going to go high or low, right? And I'd have to look back at both those shots, but I think Kempe's initial positioning, it looked like he was going high, right? But then you look at Pickard's, he went down right away. There wasn't a lot of patience in stopping that thing, and then it just goes right over the shoulder really quickly. They're tough. Like it can do anything off a stick, but it just seemed like both those worked perfectly, where it just added a little bit more elevation to each shot to go high, right?
Yeah.
Maybe if that stick's not there, you might hit the collarbone or something like that. So I think it's a little bit lucky on the Kings side of things, but maybe it goes in anyway.
How would you describe Pickard so far?
Okay.
I was wondering if what you're. I was going to ask you. Give me one word. So
yeah.
Okay,
he's okay.
Cass, you would agree with that? Okay.
Yeah, I would say average. I was going to say average would be my word, which is basically the same thing.
That's close. It's close to the same thing.
Yeah.
But that's what we did. Isn't that not what we usually say? If the others can get okay or average goaltending, that usually could be enough for a team with McDavid.
I said that if Ekholm was in the lineup. I said at the beginning that the Edmonton Oilers goaltenders need to be great to win games, just to make up for it's not only defensemen that have to fill that void of Ekholm being gone. There's defensive play from the forwards, extra minutes by the defensemen, and there are saves that are going to need to be made by Oilers goaltenders that probably don't happen when Ekholm's on the ice. And it's kind of astonishing that this thing is 2-2 and you've still gotten okay goaltending from both guys.
All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. I do want to come. We kind of got sidetracked on the goaltending there, which was going to be a point of the conversation anyway. But I do want to just quickly switch back to Hiller here, Cass, and kind of use it as a launching point for the conversation of the Kings have been the better team for the first 40 minutes in this series. The Oilers have been the better team in the third period and the overtime that we have seen so far. Cass, how much of that is the Oilers finding a sense of urgency that takes their game to another level? How much of it is, do you think, Hiller is playing his 13 guys that he's playing too much? They're getting tired, and the Oilers are then using that to take advantage of them.
Yeah, it's a fair question. Like that's asking a lot of a small number of guys and not really giving fourth line much of a sniff.
Yeah, they're
Maybe
playing
he switches
13
that
guys
tonight a little bit. Yeah, they're not playing a lot right up and down, and part of that's to help defend against the Oilers. He's going with his good defense, and you kind of wonder. And I hadn't thought about that too much. So you bring up a great point there. Like part of the LA's issue has been they've sat back when they've had to lead too much. Like early in games, they're ultra aggressive. They're on you, and then third period they kind of start sitting back when they've had a 2-goal lead, 3-goal lead. They're like, okay, we'll play good defense, we'll get through this, and they lose that forward posture of aggressiveness. And so it's a fair question to say, I don't know if I was just to do percent, what percent do we put on them over using too many guys or the top end guys? I don't know, but it's got to be pretty high. Like, don't you think? Like.
Well, I was going to say, Gage, like when we talk about that, is that a Hiller criticism or is that a, hey, management, I don't got guys I can play remotely at all? And you look at the names, I mean, Hellenius, Malott, these aren't guys that are your typical NHLers. So I want to criticize them because I'm like, you got to find some ice time for these guys somewhere, especially when you're up 3-0, 4-0 in hockey games. Like mix in the line a little bit. But how much can you blame them if you look at the roster and you look at that fourth line and go, who the hell are these guys?
I was thinking a lot about how Hiller kind of views this series. I think a lot depends on if they beat the Oilers on his job for next year. I think if he doesn't get the job done, they've pulled the trigger before, right? Although they've had success in the regular season, and maybe that's why they play this way. I don't get it because they're such a better team when they just have one forward checker, like just one person.
Yeah.
I was saying, like, I don't like the way that the Oilers just wait for them to set up. Like you see them take the puck back behind the net and no one chases them. The Kings just back out all the way to the neutral zone. And maybe that's the Oilers ploy. Right, because they get a free breakout and entry into the offensive zone just because of the setup. They're not being forced at all once they have full control. So I wonder what's going to happen if we see the LA Kings going into the third period are up by a goal or 2 goals, how they're going to play. And if they are going to allow the Edmonton Oilers to just keep coming at them in waves, I think they lose again if that's the case. Like, or it comes down to McDavid and Draisaitl just feeling really good about themselves and a Bouchard bomb from the point again to tie it up. It's fascinating that they're still going with this 0-5.
Is it
so
going to
weird
come down to the Bouchard and Nurse pairing?
Well, yeah, so I wanted to bring that back up because at the skate, here's what was tweeted out by Tony Brar with the team. McDavid, Hyman, Nuge, Draisaitl, Arvidsson, Podkolzin, Henrique, Brown, Kane, Janmark, Perry, Frederick. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening as they work their way through the game. You really liked Draisaitl, McDavid, Perry last game. And Cass, what did you think of Kane, Nuge, and Hyman together as a line?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I think Kane's game was much better. Like this game was much better. Like he's starting to get there a little bit. Gage, you mentioned a little bit already, but a little bit more around the front of the net. A little bit more physical. A little bit like he's starting to ramp, which was good. I thought that line was okay, but everyone, maybe I should rephrase that. They were just okay through the first half of the game, and then they got lots better the second half of the game, and then they were really good for their shifts in overtime. I know there's a little bit of a mix-up with some of the lines in OT, but yeah. I thought they improved as the game went on. I'll leave it at that.
What did you think of that group when they put those guys together?
They were physical.
Could you run that line?
I think so. I think it's a good idea to start with it. Anyways, didn't Hyman break the record for
12 hits or something?
12 hits. Like I like a more aggressive Zach Hyman, to tell you the truth. Like it reminds me of back in the days when he was playing third, fourth line in Toronto.
Yeah.
And he was just a buzzsaw and then would get moved up to the top unit to get them going a little bit. And I think this has been good for Hyman.
Yeah, that was the thing when they got him. I remember all the TSN insiders being like, the only problem with the Leafs and Hyman is that they need one of them on every single line.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that when they brought him in. That was a huge thing for a while. All right. And then on the back end, Nurse and Bouchard were paired together at the morning skate. Klingberg, Wallman, then Kulak. The others, dialed Emberson back a bit last game and just ran the 5 guys. They were all over 24 minutes. I was pretty impressed by Klingberg, considering I thought he was never going to play for the Oilers again. He's looked pretty good so far. But Cass, what do you make of this Nurse Bouchard thing? I mean, they were -3 through the first 2 periods together. Seems like now they'll be moving. I would think they probably move all these guys around a bit. But do you think they go through 40 minutes with Nurse and Bouchard out there together all the time?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it didn't work. I know that Bouchard worked towards the end of the game. The just duality of Evan Bouchard as a player, like just horrible defensively, and then just unleashes offensively and wins you a hockey game, like just ridiculous. Which just nuts from an Evan Bouchard standpoint. But they were scary together. You won the game, so maybe that's where you're starting with this pairing. But I can't imagine they're just going to solely play together through the first 40 minutes, because I don't think you can. And I will say, and Darnell Nurse has been great for most of the season. I thought he struggled this series a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
But Darnell Nurse has struggled this series a little bit, and I think my dad had texted me actually during that game, and he was just like, "Hey, did you know that Darnell's been on for like 12 of LA's 17 goals?" And I was like, "Oh, I did not know that, but that's not very good." And then you're putting him with Evan Bouchard, who has been solely responsible for the 5 other goals that Darnell Nurse wasn't on the ice for. I mean, they'd been on for a couple together at that point, I know already, but it hasn't been a pairing that's worked. Guys, it hasn't been a pairing that's worked, so I just can't see it.
Yeah, I haven't liked it together at any point of the year.
It's never worked.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It hasn't worked in years past either.
It doesn't make sense.
They tried to do it, and it seems, I don't know what the reason is, because really it should work, but like just based on their abilities to get but I think, I don't know, Darnell, you mentioned it, Cass. He hasn't. It's not regular season Darnell Nurse, but I think just the magnitude of the playoffs, and I think he might be just gripping the stick a little bit too much, trying to do too much, right? Just play like he did in the regular season, where he was allowing the game to come to him and he was being physical, but he wasn't trying to step outside the box a little bit more. Like
Is that what he's doing now? Yeah.
Well, it just seems like his decision making isn't as crisp as it once was. You see, I can always tell by his positioning, and it seems like he's getting caught halfway a lot of the times. And when he's playing well, the decisions that he makes are immediate, whether they're good or bad. He's not caught in that no man's land.
Cass, if you could fill in this blank, Evan Bouchard is the most blank player in this series. What would that blank be? Is Cass thinking, or is he on a mute?
I was thinking.
Oh, wow. That was a long think.
Was a long think. Hey,
we had some, I asked this morning of Button, and the reason this comes up, because I wasn't happy with my choice of words this morning, and somebody texted in a better word on the Nielsen show today, and I can't remember what it was, but I think it started with a P. But anyway, I asked this morning, is Evan Bouchard, in the overall outcome of this series, the most important player on the ice? Because when he's bad, he can kill you, but when he's great, he can push the pace to a victory. So Evan Bouchard is the most blank player in this series. What do we think that is? Oh, pivotal. Pivotal was the word the guy said.
Pivotal.
The most pivotal player in this series, which it's a good description.
I'm just trying to break out the thesaurus and see if there's another word.
Trying to find another word.
What do
just
we got
some that have popped up here. Chaos Never Died says chaotic. Loomis says polarizing. V-Power just says classic. Southside polarizing. Busby says frustrating. Loomis says polarizing. Yeah, no, polarizing wasn't the word. I mean, that's polarizing from a fan's conversation point, I think. But I think pivotal is.
I'm going to go deciding. because either he's deciding the series here.
Yeah.
Like, because he is on both sides of it.
So somebody texted in yesterday, said, the series is tied at 2 because of Bouchard. And you're like, huh.
Yeah,
you're kind of right.
Kind of right.
Cass, what do you think? What do you think of this guy so far?
That's funny. Yeah.
Confounding?
That's funny.
Confounding's a good one.
That's a good one.
Spotty.
Is a good one.
Enigmatic.
That's another good one. Yeah. Yeah. Man. Yeah. What are some other good ones?
Tantalizing.
Yeah.
Both teams are like, oh,
Tantalizing,
Bouchard's on the ice.
yeah.
Alcohol inducing. Was that 2 words?
AB Poker Inc. says cross-eyed. Gordfather says dangerous at both ends of the ice.
Yeah.
Sonny D says pivotal for both teams, which I think that's kind of why I like the word pivotal.
Pivotal's good.
I think pivotal's a good one. Kevin Martin says decisive, problematic. Exasperating. These are all somewhat nonchalant.
Remember that there was an old
Geriatric.
Did you say geriatric? You waited 5 minutes to give us a geriatric?
There was that old video where the old one was Horkov.
Yeah, the whole thing, all the different Horkov.
Yeah. And so it's kind of like that. It's like Bouchard.
Now, somebody described him as, Dusty, here's how I view Bouchard. There will be times when I'm throwing stuff at him on my television, but other times I am up against the TV kissing his face. And it's just, I've never really seen anything like it with this guy.
I asked Cass, I sent him a text. I go, Cass, have you ever played with, I was going across all my buttons.
Yeah.
And Cass, why don't you say what you mentioned when I asked you the question?
Yeah. I said the closest was Erik Karlsson. Right, like gifted extraordinarily in the offensive zone, but at times defensively, you're just like, oh, on occasion. And that was Carl, like in Carl in his prime, where he was just did incredible things in the offensive zone, but every once in a while, defensively, you're just like, what is happening right now? And I think he had the same type of ability, and maybe just because we had no one else, like there was no McDavid, or there was no on our team. We didn't have McDavid. You didn't have Draisaitl, so you didn't have like that superstar offensive player to kind of where Bouchard's viewed as secondary to those guys. And so it's like he's not the only offensive guy. So it's like you have a little less leeway for him defensively than maybe you do the other two. But for Karlsson, it's like he had a little bit of that leeway. But in terms of just overall play, I would say that would be the closest to where it's just like does the amazing, crazy things offensively. And every once in a while, defensively, you're just like, man, that sucks. That wasn't a good play.
I mean, the way he knocked down the puck to tie the game there, it was unbelievable.
He saved the season.
Yeah.
Like the guy who may eventually still give away the season in the series has saved it for now. Which is they're going to write books about Evan Bouchard moving forward in the future. But Gage, and both you guys, I watched this and I was thinking about it driving in Monday morning, and the contract thing will come up. Obviously a ton in this offseason. But after watching him in games 3 and 4, and it wasn't all good, but when I watch him in those games, you're like, that's why he's going to get paid, and that's why they have to keep him.
Yeah.
Like that's just, I know people are going to hate it, especially after games 1 and 2, but you can't let that guy offensively walk or play hardball with, like, well, you can play hardball with him, but as I said Monday morning on the show after, I said, listen, you pay that guy. Some of you are going to hate it. Sometimes you as management are going to hate him. You're like, damn it, man, don't do that. But you pay that guy, you accept him for who he is, and then you build a blue line around him. Like you'll have to get different pieces in place. But I don't know how you can not keep that guy.
Offensive defensemen are so difficult. Right-handed offensive defensemen. He is a unicorn, right? They do not grow on trees. And I mean, even I'm trying to think if the Oilers go on and win this series and Bouchard, whatever, breaks Bobby Orr's record or whatever.
He's second all time in points per game behind Bobby Orr.
This is crazy, man. I don't see how you don't. What do you value in contract negotiations? Offensive output, right? And he has tons of it. It's just going to. I mean, if I'm a company, I'm like Just for Men, just to hide the grays, because he is going to provide so many gray hairs over the next, and just with him being so old, I think it's a perfect sponsorship with Evan Bouchard.
This is an all-timer from C Run over in the chat. By the way, we are closing in on 100 thumbs up, so if you can do that here in the hour on Two Guys, it would be great. We're 7 away. C Run says, I wonder what a day in the life of Bouchard is like. Does he live his life in the same way, like burnt the toast, but the eggs are the chef's kiss? Like, in all the different assets of it, one aspect, he's just horrible. And the other one, he's as good as you could possibly be in it. That's a funny one, C-Run. That's well done, sir.
He's even Steven. It's that Seinfeld episode where he
find the $20
and he finds the 20. Yeah, I always break even.
You're even Steven. You're even Steven. Right now, he is tied for the league lead in goals in the playoffs with 4. I can't. I don't even know.
I don't even know,
man. I don't even know what to say anymore, man. God. I threw our question out on Twitter that we were just talking about, and the replies are flying in here. Evan Bouchard is the most blank player in this series. Fill it in. Bipolar, impactful. I'm going to say versatile. Eventful, as in Evanful. Clutch. I like that. Frustrating. Aggravating. There's that cross-eyed again. I don't know if that's the same person who's over in the chat. Unpredictable, entertaining, polarizing, anger-inducing, bipolar, underperforming. Oh, geez, underperforming. He's got 7 points in the series. And scary. Those are just some of the replies that have trickled in so far. Cass, am I simplifying it too much to say that if Bouchard plays well in the next 2 games, the others win the series, and if he doesn't, they lose it?
I don't think so. Because, well, maybe a little bit, because there are just so many other factors. But as far as being maybe the biggest single contributor, yeah, I mean, the amount of minutes that he's going to play and the impact on both ends that he's had so far in this game kind of all hinges on him, doesn't it? Like, it really kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think you're overstating. I mean, again, like, complex game, there is certainly more that's going to go into it. But as far as being the most influential thing, it may be the play of Evan Bouchard.
Yeah, I think so. If he doesn't play well, just the amount of minutes he plays, right? He's going to be out, whether it's a 5-alarm mistake, he's not missing a shift, right? It's weird to say, but I do think it all hinges on Bouchard. Which is crazy, absolutely crazy. I mean, there's other things that are going to go into it too, but his game is so
perplexing. That's a good one.
That's a good one.
That's in from Ellen over on the text line.
His game is so like great or poor. There's like, how often do you say, man, Bouch played okay? Yeah, you don't.
It's I don't know how you guys deal with it on the like outside of Stuart Skinner. Is Bouch topic number 2 most nights over in that post-game chat, Kaz?
Yeah, he probably takes a lot of heat. I would say he takes the second most heat, followed by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins at the 3rd most heat.
Oh, really?
Kind of be your top 3 order. Yeah.
Through the first couple games of the series, I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
And not like aggressive with the Nuge, but more.
Well, you
like
got to be nice to the Nuge, right? Well. You just got to point it out.
Be nice to him. He's too. It feels like Nuge is just too much of like a kid brother still to everybody. Right, it's like he's like your little cousin or your little brother, where you like, even though he's a fully grown man with a bad mustache.
Yeah, he's in his 30s.
Yeah, he's in his 30s, but you still kind of feel like, oh, you need the kid gloves around Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. It's like you just got to be gentle with the Nuge. Yeah, Bouchard probably takes the second most. I mean, Skinner without question takes all of it. But in the forward group, yeah, it's probably Nuge after Bouch, who, I mean, I've been calling it the Skinner scapegoat syndrome is like for a lot of people, that's the
Skinner scapegoat syndrome.
That's what I've been calling it. For a lot of people, that's it. And I got to come up with one because it's like got to come up with another one with B's, because it's going to be the Bouchard something, where it's the same kind of people, but with them it's all like, oh, you had a bad game, pay him $3 million a year or trade him right now.
Yeah,
like, trade him today. That's generally where it goes with Bouchard. It's like, I can't believe he's this bad in his defensive zone. Trade him right now. Give him $3 billion. He's not going to be worth 10.5. Yeah, but it's still not quite as angry as the Skinner. The Skinner ones, I mean, it's just full on, like, just rage every single night, rage.
This one is in over on the Nasty Chat on YouTube. Would Bouch have as many points in the playoffs with a different team? Do you think he is good because of McDavid and Draisaitl?
Well, there's always a little bit to that, but if he's on another team, he's playing with their top talented
on
players.
The power play still.
And if you look at a lot of other power plays, they generate most of their offense from the top with his. And I mean, he's probably doing the same thing with that shot. That's the thing. He's able to get it off, get it on net, get it through people. I think he has the same type of success because he's going to be on that top whatever power play unit is and just unleashing that thing. And his vision is elite too. It's not just a shot from the he's not just one dimensional on the offensive side. There's many facets to his offensive game that make him successful. His outlet, the passes that he makes are absolutely ridiculous. How he can go tape to tape 80 feet on a consistent basis over and over and over again. You try doing that, hitting Connor McDavid in flight. Like, how many passes does he miss hitting Connor in flight? That's why he probably loves him so much.
Kaz, what about Bouchard backlash disorders?
Ooh. Yeah.
BBD.
Yeah.
Well,
BBD. Yeah. Or Bouchard blame disorder. BBD.
Yeah, Bouchard blame disorder. That's a good one as well. That could work. These are suggestions that have trickled in. I did Google medical terms that start with B, just to see if we could find any there. Tampa, Florida. I do want to quickly get to this series.
I was going to.
She's a nasty one. Hey,
I was upset. Well, I was upset for a few reasons. But watching Ekblad hit Hagel, I'm like,
Hagel's not playing in Game 5, by the way.
What?
He's out.
Like, I don't know how, as a ref, you're looking. I don't know what he was looking at.
I think he must have missed it with the two players going by him, and just saw the tail end of it.
A moving screen.
That's the only thing I can think of, because you can't possibly watch that play and go, it's not at least a penalty of some sort.
He's got to get 2 games for that, doesn't he? Like, he's got to be suspended.
I think there's probably going to be a suspension.
Like, that was.
They got to get the series kind of under control.
Though, that's the question. Yeah.
What's that?
1 or 2 game suspension.
Easily. Because then he goes and he's part of them being part of the comeback, right? He actually scored. They got taken away because it was offside, and when he should have been out of the game already for that. Yeah, that's got to be frustrating.
He's gonna. It's an automatic game.
Yeah,
Hagel's gonna miss a game. There's no way Ekblad doesn't get a game.
Yeah, I think he gets
really
2.
It should be more. Right? In the regular season, that's like a 4 gamer, maybe 5.
Well, then that's 2. I mean, that's 2 playoff games.
My reasoning for 2 is he played the rest of that one, right, and was an integral part of it. While Hagel's gone,
yeah,
and he already gets
on the
1
game tying goal. Yeah,
so that's 2 games right there that he should be missing.
Okay, Castle, what about this? Because Button brought it up today. He said he didn't mind the play of Ekblad because he was sending a message to Hagel for hitting his captain earlier in the series. Cash, you played in that crazy series between the Habs and the Sens that ended up being a bit of a bloodbath with Lars Eller's head almost getting taken off. I mean, where do you come out on that angle of it? Well, maybe his head hit the ice, and that's where all the blood came from. But
no, it was his visor. He got hit in the chest, and in that hit in his chest, his helmet was too loose. His helmet tipped down and sliced him across the forehead.
Exactly what an Ottawa Senator would say in that series.
I mean, what do you're a big WWE guy? You know what? Like they take the razor and then nick your forehead, right? And then it's just blood everywhere, so it just looks way worse than it was.
They just got cut in a bad spot, I guess.
Just got cut in a bad spot. Your forehead bleeds like crazy. But
what about there's my shot at Hagel, and he took a shot at my guy. I'm going to take advantage of this right now.
Well, yeah, you do that, but
you got to pay the price.
I mean, you got to pay the price.
I'm talking Ekblad has to pay that. Like both, it's an element of like both guys paying the price.
Well, but Tkachuk railroaded Gensel the next game.
You're saying that was the price being paid? Like,
where does it end? Does Gensel get a free shot at Tkachuk now? Like, that's where I thought the you go after our guy, we go after yours. Now we're good.
Yeah. Well, in that Ottawa Minnesota, the Ottawa Montreal series, like that ended with the brawl, but the series ended with the brawl too, because it was we just dominated them, and it's like where does it end? It like ends when one team's just like, screw you guys, we're just gonna beat you to a pulp. Like you can go tit for tat, but our tits are bigger than your tats, right? Like that's
a great line. Cass, watch your mouth, you dirty pig! Holy smokes, this guy, filthy mouth, Cass.
That's a good one.
Our tits are bigger than your tats. Me neither. That's a good. It's a good twist on. Okay, so let me ask you guys this then. So Tampa's pissed off. They're going home for Game 5. They're not going to have Hagel. Panthers shouldn't have Ekblad. Are they? Can you recover from this one if you're Tampa? Do you think
it's tough, man? But they've been. There's so much experience, and Vasilevsky has to be better.
They need a Vasilevsky game.
They need old Vasilevsky to show up for the next 3 if they want any chance at doing this. I was watching both goalies, and there was
Bob.
It was okay.
Yeah. The shot totals aren't high in that series, but the goals are fine in the way.
It's interesting. I mean, there was some good shots and some scrambles and stuff, but I was usually you see those two make those ridiculous saves. Like they take a few away from the other team each and every game. It's for those two, I would say it's very pedestrian goaltending.
Gordon McDowell over in the chat says, at the end of Game 7 of that team, the winning team salutes the fans with their sticks held high and severed heads of their enemy on the sticks like pikes. That series has lived up to. I really wanted that one to be tied at 2 because then we're getting 7 for sure.
Exactly.
And now Button said this morning, and I think I agree with him. Do you think whoever comes out of that series has the juice to go all the way to the Cup final? Like, does Toronto or Washington or Carolina stop them?
Oof. So who would? So
they play Toronto in the next round, assuming Toronto
right?
finishes off the Sens. Yeah,
I want to see how Toronto looks against a team with a little bit more experience at this time of year, but. You'd have to say that Washington's interesting because there's a physical element to their game too. So I think they can match up a little bit better. But you kind of give the edge to if Florida gets out of this, they might go back again.
No, I know. turns out they've built something really good in Florida.
It's those parades of 50 people.
Yeah, I just got to say though, guys, 3-1 goal games don't write the Sens off yet.
Says the former senator who's trying to justify Lars Eller's cut from his visor today. Unbelievable.
Sens and seven.
I would love to see it. I mean, a Toronto 3-0 series lead collapse to Ottawa would rank right up there with most hilarious things I've ever seen in my life.
I don't truly think it's going to happen, but I would love it if it did.
All right, what's coming up on EST afternoons today? What do we?
We're going to get you ready for tonight's game. Probably a little bit of Canada's Got Talent with Hernan Salas. I'm not sure what he has planned.
I thought he signed a deal somewhere else. He left. Is he even in today?
I don't know. I heard some vocal warm ups again, but Heat and Smoke, and of course just Teen Up Later for Jay.
That'll be coming up a little bit later on. Predictions for tonight, guys. What do you think?
I can't. I don't know. I really, really have no feeling of what's going to happen. I think the LA Kings are going to dominate for a good portion of the game.
Don't see that a good start.
But I think the Oilers will make a game of it somehow. That's what this series is. It's just can the Oilers keep it close enough to wear down the 4 D-men of the Kings and then take advantage of them late?
Guys, any sense? I don't even need a prediction, but any sense of how tonight goes?
So I was feeling heading into game 4. I still didn't feel very much hope. Like I still was kind of still had the feeling like, especially after the game started and the puck dropped and watching how Edmonton played at the start of the game, I was like, no, they're done. They're not going through this. They're not getting through this round. They're sunk. They're done. They're finished. It's over. In my mind, that's what I saw. And then I saw them play in overtime when they battle back, somehow find a way, this team, after getting outplayed for, I would say, more of the game than they outplayed LA. They were dominant in OT. And now it's kind of got me feeling. It's got me feeling like the mojo's there. It's got me feeling like they got the momentum. And it's got me feeling, even, Hiller snapping at reporters when asked about like coaching decisions and being asked about giving up leads and just not wanting to answer the question. It's got me thinking that the LA Kings are feeling that too. And so do I know? No. Will LA respond? They might say screw it, come out and play really well, and they might win. I ultimately don't know. But my feeling, guys, my feeling is that Edmonton's got the juice. They got them all right now, and that has changed dramatically for me, like from where I was 2 days ago. So maybe it's just emotional. Maybe I just got a little bit of sleep, and that helped. So I wasn't so grumpy. But I think Edmonton's got them all.
All right. Well, there you go. We'll see what happens tonight. GCL Diesel pregame show will get going at 6:30. Postgame show to follow. We got EST afternoons coming up here right away, and after that, the Reed Wilkins show from 3 until 6:30 today. As always, Two Guys and a Goalie brought to you by GS Construction. If you are looking for work, or I'd suggest if you're not happy where you're working now, go check it out. GS Construction is hiring. Become a part of their great team today by visiting gsconstruction.ca or just hop on Indeed.ca. You can find their page over there. For the past 50 years, the foundation of GS, built on efficiency, quality, and safety. Take your career to the next level. Join the team at GS Construction. For Matt Kassian and Joaquin Gage, I am Dustin Nielson. Fun Two Guys and a Goalie. EST afternoons locked and loaded as we take you up 14 straight hours until puck drop at 8 o'clock tonight.